But overall, uh, I've made a change in my viewpoint regarding veganism, hands down. I support the vegan diet. I support a vegetarian diet. I'm not against these things like I used to be. This idea, this is how I view it, this black and white extremism, this militanism, that you have to be vegan, and if you're not vegan, you cannot and you will never care about animals, is just simply just not true. I love my cat, I love my dog, but in another part of the world, they consume these pets. That doesn't make it okay, trust me. I'm all against people, eating cats and dogs. If I have the chance to try a product that is non-animal related, that doesn't use animal products, I will absolutely jump at the opportunity to try it. In fact, in my refrigerator right now, I have oat milk, milk Oatly. I think it's the brand Oatly. I have Oatly ice cream. It's actually, Oatly ice cream is amazing, and that's vegan. There are some really good vegan products out there, and I'm being as fully transparent as possible. I don't want to dedicate the time to having to look at everything that I buy, going the extra effort on everything. Like, I'm doing welding, I'm exhausted constantly, I'm in 110 degrees cement cubicle. I want to eat food that's gonna fill me. I'm lazy. That's what it ultimately boils down to. I am lazy. That's why I don't want to go vegan, is because I'm lazy, and that's too much effort for me to do. If you want to go vegan, that's your personal choice. I will support you as long as you're not hurting anybody personally. I don't really care what you do, what you ingest, If I go to a restaurant, I've actually been to a couple vegan restaurants, but if I go to a restaurant a lot and they have vegan options, at some point I'm gonna try that, because I love to see what options are out there to not consume animal products. If I have the chance to do so, I definitely will. But it's not a way that I want to live my life, and it's not really anybody's business if I consume animal products.
What does it mean to say, this is a private matter? This is a personal decision.
I went vegan for like one or 2 months, and it was hard. It's doable, but I don't want to be vegan. It's just that simple. It's not something that I will enjoy doing, and I do enjoy eating a nice steak every once in a while, and I don't think that you should be angry or upset at people who do eat steak every once in a while, because again, it's none of your business. What people do with their own body, if they want to consume meat, that's their business.
Are you really saying, it's my decision alone? How dare you question me? Are you really leaning on what's ultimately a notion of religious tolerance? That this is my private faith? How dare you question it? How dare you challenge it? This kid, Repzion, he got famous in the first place as an internet atheist, as an advocate for atheism, and telling his own sad story about being raised in a religious household and rebelling against it. The challenge we're into here is pressing beyond the limits of a religious way of thinking about values and concepts in our culture that are not normally put in the same category as religion. Mind your own business. Today, American currency says, "In God we trust." Look into the history of the American dollar bill. Look into the history of the very first coins that were minted in the United States of America, and you will find that the slogan on them, the slogan on some of the very first coins that ever existed in the American Empire, is "Mind your business." Some of these ideas, whether it be the right to bear arms, concepts of freedom, personal responsibility, bedrock ethical notions in the American and English-speaking world. Okay. They rule over us. They shape our behavior just as profoundly as a formally organized religion. And it can be much more difficult to get people to question the concepts that they've received in an unexamined way from the American constitutional tradition, from so-called secular American culture. It can be much more difficult than getting them to question prayer, circumcision, whether or not they personally should remain celibate until marriage, questioning the concept of God and the implications of God, what God means in their lives. It's quite easy to get people to do. Questioning privacy, personal responsibility. In what ways it would or would not be appropriate for one person to confront another about an ethical commitment like veganism, about their diet, about their drug habit, about the choices they're making. They're going to have tremendous consequences for their own lives, for the lives of others around them, and sure, ecological consequences, whether it be for animals or the environment thought of as a kind of abstract system. I had a professor here at the University of Victoria. She's now retired. She was about 65 years old at the time I had this conversation. And she had a double chin. She was so far overweight, I've got to tell you, she really had no chin at all. And she told me, she complained to me that she was at that stage of life where it was very difficult for her to buy clothes. She had to go to a special store to buy clothes for overweight women and this kind of thing. So she was at that point of obesity when, especially as you get older in life, the negative consequences of that choice start to really catch up with you. And I say to you honestly, today, I don't know if she's still alive. It would not surprise me at all if soon after having this conversation, she had been in and out of hospital with a heart attack or high blood pressure problems or any of the other chronic ailments that come along with those lifestyle choices, which again, for the people making them, they may not perceive it as a choice at all. They may not think they're making a decision just in the same way that being born into a Christian household and carrying on Christian traditions, you may feel like you're not making a decision at all. You didn't convert. You didn't choose your religion. Your religion chose you. And none of us signed up for these other cultural values. None of us really thought through the meaning of privacy, of minding your own business. And none of us thought through the morality of going around and shrewishly policing others and saying, how dare you? Why don't you mind your own business? How dare you question me? How dare you question him? How dare you question her? How dare you call into question the ethical choices each of us are making in our lives? We didn't choose that. We didn't convert to that, right? You have to press further. You have to press past the critique of religion to deal with all of these values, all of these assumptions, all of these beliefs that delimit your thinking and guide your action in adult life. Anyway, this particular professor, she said to me, I would say laughingly, but perhaps scoffingly would be better if it's a word. She said to me scoffingly that as soon as I relocated to China, as soon as I started living and working in China, my commitment to veganism would just disappear. That I would go back to eating meat or eating cheese, eggs, or what have you, like all the other students she'd had who started learning Chinese and then went around the world to live in China. And I fixed her with a glare and I asked her, do you think that I'm weak? She was shocked. She just didn't see that coming. I said, do you think that I'm a weak person? Do you think that I'm an undisciplined, weak-willed person? Is that what you think of me? And I think she just repeated back something about how all the other students who had gone to China had lost the will or lost their nerve to be vegan. And I said, maybe they were weak. Maybe they were stupid. But not me. That's not who I am. I have a friend, and she had a very close relationship with one of her professors over many years. They were professor and student, but they were also colleagues. And that professor, he looks like he could collapse and die anytime. I've never met him. I've only seen photographs in terms of his level of obesity, in terms of the consequences of his health choices. And I don't know to what extent cigarettes and alcohol are responsible for that, but he's grotesquely overweight. Grotesque is the word. How dare you It's none of your business. It's his choice. Freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Who are any of us to question anyone else's choices? And this friend of mine, she had this friendship with a professor of mine for many, many years. And one day she just really drew the line with him and said, look, how can we really be friends if I'm vegan and you're not? It's her story to tell, so I'm not going to tell it. But it's a very interesting example where two people who knew and respected each other intellectually, at some point there's a breakdown where you say, look, if I'm really going to be honest with you, this ethical division between us, it's not okay, and it's never going to be okay. I don't know if she would have used these words, but she was basically saying to the guy, look, I know what you say in your lectures. I know your philosophy. I know what it is you preach, and I know that you don't practice it. So to me, you're a hypocrite. In my eyes, you're a hypocrite, and there's really just a fundamental practical sense in which they couldn't be friends and they couldn't be colleagues anymore. Now, as far as I know, that's the end of the story. Maybe 5 years later, this older, obese professor is going to change his mind, change his life, commit to a vegan diet. Maybe. And maybe 5 years from now, he'll die.
I don't want to dedicate the time to having to look at everything that I buy, going the extra effort on everything, like truly living a life of not using or consuming a singular animal product that is used in anything in your day-to-day life is practically impossible. I'm lazy. That's what it ultimately boils down to. I am lazy. That's why I don't want to go vegan, is because I'm lazy.
I don't drink alcohol. My girlfriend, Melissa, doesn't drink alcohol. Do you have any idea how many people take the time to tell us that really we should drink alcohol? It never occurs to anyone to think, oh, that's none of my business. That's a private matter. That's up for you to decide. If you don't want to drink alcohol, you do you. No. This is the first thing and the last thing Americans think of when something like veganism comes up, right? Oh, well, it's private. It's a personal matter. How dare anyone ask? How dare one person tell another what the correct answer is to this question? It's personal. It's private. Shouldn't even think about it. None of us hesitate to use peer pressure on one another, whether it's about drinking alcohol, watching sports on TV, playing video games, going skiing, the most trivial self-indulgences imaginable, right? We all engage in lobbying one another to be lazier, to be stupider, to be more self-indulgent, to be more of a scumbag. And if you do anything abnormal, that's good, that other people can recognize as positive, they're so eager to discourage you. They're so eager to shut you down. In this culture, we pretend that there is this fence separating each individual from every other. And you can look over the fence, but you can't reach, you can't touch, you can't talk, you can't comment, you can't say a word. Each of us in our own little backyard is engaged in the pursuit of happiness. But the reality is, people do not hesitate to bully you. People do not hesitate to police you whenever you're doing something positive in your life, whenever you're doing something that's extraordinary, whenever you're doing something that's above and beyond the bare minimum of leading a totally self-centered, self-indulgent lifestyle. People are so eager to encourage you to get back in that category of what they think of culturally as normal. Oh, you don't drink alcohol? Oh, you really should. Nobody hesitates. Nobody thinks, oh, it's none of my business. Oh, who am I to judge? Who am I to tell you? Oh, no. If you live in a state of sobriety, my girlfriend and I both do. Neither one of us drank alcohol for many years. Oh, no. The social pressure for you to drink alcohol, that's tremendous, and that's shameless. If you're vegan and you encourage other people to be vegan, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself, right? You're crossing the line. You're reaching over that fence. Tut, tut, tut. Mustn't do.
It's none of your business what people do with their own body. If they want to consume meat, that's their business.
I'm someone who's very well read in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. It comes up all the time. Not that it's my own area of expertise, but if you care about history, if you care about politics, if you care about the Constitution of the United States of America, you've got to be able to make shrewd, comparative, analytical statements about, frankly, how an historical figure like Aristotle is connected to the concepts used by an historical figure like Bill Clinton. And when I got together with my girlfriend, a lot of people noticed that she really stepped up the level of effort she was putting into reading on many different topics, but this is one of them. She started becoming a well-educated, well-read person in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. Do you have any idea how many people stepped up and stepped out of the shadows to tell her that she should not do that? Or even to take a further step of trying to claim that her boyfriend, me, that I'm a bad influence on her. That somehow this is like an unreasonable, oppressive expectation that her boyfriend is putting, like, oh, why are you making the effort to read these books from ancient Greece and ancient Rome? Why are you making the effort to improve yourself? Why are you making the effort to learn? There are people in different walks of life in this audience. And some of you will have felt this, where it's pressure not to be a stand-up comedian or not to be an artist or not to sing. When I did humanitarian work in Cambodia, oh no, don't do humanitarian work in Cambodia. The peer pressure to be normal for people who want to drag you down to their level. Everyone's so eager to police you if they're shepherding you back into that category of normal. Oh, you don't watch sports? Oh, you don't drink alcohol? Oh, you don't play video games? Oh. You should be normal. You should be like us. You should respond to our peer pressure, right? To never reach above and beyond your station, to never be extraordinary, to never even attempt to do something positive. They want to validate and vindicate their own laziness, their own self-centered self-indulgence, the fact that they don't have any better ambitions now and they never did. They want to validate that and vindicate that by putting peer pressure on you. We all put pressure on one another all the time. You know, whether that's pressure to smoke marijuana, drink alcohol, gamble, you know, this kind of peer pressure, right? Or I mean, in this relationship, I think, you know, invisibly, I put pressure on my girlfriend to go to the gym, and she puts pressure on me to go to the gym. There are times when she's going to the gym more than I do, and there's times when I'm going to the gym more than she does. In terms of studying languages, if you're in a relationship, one person is putting the time to learn Chinese and you're not, you're slacking off. You know, you feel the pressure all the time, right? And it can be positive. It can be positive pressure. It can be a wonderful thing in your life. Like, hey, I'm in a relationship with someone who wakes up in the morning and hits the books and studies Chinese. And she doesn't say a word to me if I'm not doing that, if I'm getting nothing done or I'm spending my time on something trivial, right? I feel the difference. I see the difference. I know the difference. If you're in a relationship with someone who's waking up and going to the gym every day, doesn't have to be in the morning, could be the evening, whatever. You know what they're doing and you feel where you are and your level of effort, you know, relative to that, okay? I don't give a fuck if you feel oppressed by it or not. But it's a private matter. It's a personal decision. Mind your own business. The fact that it's a personal decision does not mean that there is no difference between right and wrong. I wish I could reach out to that same university professor today and save her life and change her life for the better over the next 20 years. It is her personal decision, and she is making the wrong one. There's a big difference between dying at 65 and dying at 85. There's a big difference between someone at 65 who can barely walk up a flight of stairs and has to buy clothes from a special shop and someone who's mentally sharp, alert, productive. What does it mean if you say that you believe in privacy, that you believe in personal choice? Is that really so different from saying that you don't care if someone else makes the wrong decision? You don't care if they live or die. Repzion, if you're watching this, I know you have a history with drug addiction. I know you've struggled with relapses, with being in and out of therapy for it. Drug addiction is a personal choice. Whether or not you get high, it's a private matter. It's up to you. That doesn't mean there's no difference between making the wrong choice and making the right one. And that doesn't mean it's morally wrong for someone to break that invidious silence of the isolated pursuit of happiness, to reach across the fence and say to you that they care. They don't just care if you live or die. They care if you're leading a meaningful life or a meaningless one. And they want to put peer pressure on you, positively, not to be a drunk, not to be a gambler, not to be a degenerate, frankly. They want to put peer pressure on you to make the right decision and lead a better life.